This old guy DIY video has to do with rebuilding and recovering boat seats. So after I put the carpet on the hot chick's pontoon, she initially bought some duct tape and said, I'll just tape those seats up and we'll sell it the way it is. Now the carpet looks all fresh and new. So she asked, do you think you could reupholster those seats? So I took some measurements. I went to Amazon last night, bought some vinyl. So instead of the pretty stripes, this stuff is just going to be gray on gray. But these things have seen better years. That's what it looks like on the inside. This rotten, soaking wet wood came from the other seat. And this is what I was met with here. So I'll have to do some creative carpentry. But we'll get this thing back so it's sturdy and safe and saleable. I've never done this job before, so this is another part of the learning by doing process. But it's nothing too tough. Just go slow, one step at a time. I'll keep you posted. When disassembling these seats, I started out pulling the individual staples, and I thought, why am I doing this? The wood is damaged enough that I'm going to have to replace it. The vinyl is totally shot. So the technique I use now is just take the carpet knife, run around the edges, cuts everything open. It takes about 3 minutes to pull the upholstery and the padding off of a seat this way. This armrest is all rotted out. So I pulled the staples and I peeled the vinyl down like you're taking the husk off an ear of corn. And now what I'm going to do is roll this foam down. You can see that there's some wood that's still sound here. So I'll see how far I have to go down, and then I'll cut this rotten crap out and see what it takes to reconstruct it. Doesn't have to be perfect. This has to be solid and reasonably good looking. By taking a screwdriver and coming in from the side, I was able to pop this piece out intact. So that'll serve as a nice template for me, so I can make that one. And when I look down in here, you know, there's enough structure left. I'll cut down to about this point, and I can rebuild this thing without too much trouble. And up here, where it has the curve, I think I'll just use heavy plastic instead, and that way I can get a decent curve, but I don't have any little veneer wood like these guys apparently used. I have all the sides cut back to good wood, and I left as much as I could here in the front because of the curve. I took the level and put it on there so I would have a straight line, but these things aren't straight in relation to each other. But now I have enough here that I can make some 1/2-inch plywood patch pieces and basically put it here so it goes 3 inches on each side, and then I'll put the 1/2-inch plywood piece that's actually going to replace what had rotted out. And I didn't take any measurements beforehand because I do have this other armrest that's in pretty good shape. I can get the dimensions I need from there to determine how tall it should be. So when I started tearing this thing apart, I wasn't too excited about it. I thought it's going to be a crappy job, but it looks like it won't be too difficult after all. I have the inside structure in place now. So I cut these things off at 5.5 inches. So I've got about 2.5 inches down here that I screwed into, and then the piece that's actually the right size is going to sit here. You can see based on the foam I've got to come up a couple inches yet. And the screws I'm using for these little guys are right here. It's a fine thread number 6 by 1 inch drywall screw. It seems to do a nice job. So it just takes a little time. It's not too bad. Now I have it boxed in. The height is correct. I cut this little piece to drop in there. So now I shoot a few screws from the side. Set the height, I just pulled the foam up to the side, and now I'll screw that top piece in and get a piece of plastic for the curvature, and we're almost done. I just finished up the frame, so the fanciest part was this curve, and I took a piece of plastic that came from one of those 440-gallon heavy-duty totes, and I just cut it to size and I bent it. So you can see this little block that I put in up here on top, that's just screwed in from the back side to give me something to screw into to get the curvature. So I put these 2 screws up here first, and then just put my hand where it joins this other curve, and then I came down here and screwed it in. So now I have all of the structure replaced. It's just a matter of pulling the vinyl down, stapling it, and this piece of the puzzle should be done. The one on the left is the finished product that I was working on today. The one on the right is the OEM deal. If we look in here, you can see all the repairs that I did. So the hot chick's going to clean up all this stuff on the sides, and then once it's all clean and pretty, we'll start putting it back together. So nothing is as easy as it seems, and when I pulled these seats out in hopes of just putting a carpet on the pontoon, you can see what I found. It's basically like wet cardboard. So I talked to the hot chick and she said, hey, if you're willing to fix it, fix it. So here I am today. I've started to separate the different panels and the foam, and I have enough of a shape here that I can make a template. Then I have this product that's a plasticky fiberglass thing. These are used as slip sheets in the trucking industry. So I'm going to use that thing to trace this to make a template, and my job today is to build 2 boat seat frames. The vinyl is due tomorrow from Amazon, so hopefully I can button this project up fairly quickly. So here we go. I have the seat frame broken down to its components, so something like that back where it was rotted out I'll have to estimate, but I was able to save one end here that I can use as a template. The other end is pretty ragged out, but I have enough structure that I can take some measurements and start cutting and make a new plywood seat frame.